Good morning, art class, and happy St. Patrick's Day. All right, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using your own face, and you're going to take a picture with your cell phone. I'm going to use this as example. Hopefully you'll be able to adapt to your own photo based on what you see here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to download the image. When you take your own picture, you're going to want to upload it to your Google Drive, and then from there you're going to download it and open with Photoshop. So we're going to do this in class. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy image, and then I'm going to open mine into Photoshop. Let me get rid of all this stuff first. Okay. And when you open with Photoshop, you're going to have your picture come right up. Now I'm just copying mine, and I just call this portrait for art. Do the same thing if you wish. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to paste. Alright. Once you get your picture into Photoshop, first thing you want to do is look for your layers palette. Whether you are new to Photoshop or not, as long as you follow everything that I tell you to do in this video, you should have no problem. You may have to repeat certain things, review certain things in the video. Just rewind and replay. Sometimes it takes a couple tries before you can get it right. I just want to point out that the face here of our beloved president is on layer 1 above the background. You may have your picture called background. In other words, you may only have one layer. So it really doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and merge mine to the background. You do not have to merge yours to the background, but I'm just showing you that it really doesn't matter. Next thing I want to do is just do Control J. What that does is it copies your photo. So now I have two layers showing the exact same thing. And that is done just so we have a backup in case something happens. So it's always a good idea to do that. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to crop this photo. And so if you look over here in my toolbar, you come down here to the crop tool. Letter C on the keyboard will access it, or you can just physically click on it. Okay? And what that does is it allows you to drag in the crop window with your cursor. However, we are going to go ahead and do a specific size and resolution. So go ahead and click on size and resolution right here. Click on it and type in 4 inches. Okay, make sure it says inches. If it says pixels, change it to inches. Okay, then you're going to do height 6 inches, and resolution we'll just keep at 72. And then click OK. And click OK again. And there you go. There's your crop window, and you're going to want to move in your face in that crop window. You may have to adjust outside of your photo, and that's what I'm going to do, a little bit outside of the photo. Okay, from there I'm going to hit enter, and doing that will accept the crop, and we're going to go back up to this arrow tool. So where I'm going to get out of the crop tool, I'm going to go into the arrow tool. Okay, next thing I want to do is bring up my rulers. Control R. And then I'm also going to go to View, and I'm going to go to Show, and I'm going to show Grid. The grid has grid lines, as you can see, but we're going to go ahead and take our guidelines by grabbing onto this ruler. I'm going to hover over the ruler with my arrow, click down, and then drag. I'm going to put this on all of those main those darker grid lines as you see them, but what those do is they line up with the inches. So I got one on the 1 inch mark, the 2 inch mark, and the 3 inch mark. Now I'm going to take my horizontal guideline and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring it down and line it up with those inch marks. Again, if something happens, you just redo the video, replay. If you mess up on a Photoshop function, you can do Control Alt Z. Control Alt Z will go ahead and remove it'll go back in time for you in case you mess up. Alright. Now that I have my grid lines, I'm not going to need the now that I have the guidelines, I'm not going to need the grid. So I'm going to go back to show and I'm going to uncheck grid. Okay? Alright, next step, we're going to go ahead and do Control Shift U. What that does is it takes all the color out of your face. Okay, Control Shift U. Next step is going into Filter, Filter Gallery, and we're going to choose Cutout. And the cutout is going to simplify your face. And before I do that though, I'm going to lighten my photo. You may have to do the same thing. So go ahead and do Control L. And if you see this light slider, you're going to want to bring that slider all the way into the mountain. I call this a mountain. Okay, as soon as it gets to that main part of that mountain, you can click OK. You notice how the picture looks a lot better. Okay, now I'm going to go back to that filter gallery and choose Cutout. And right here, this is what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to create simple shapes. You don't want to get too simplified, because if it's too simplified, it's no longer going to look like you, right? As you can see, I'm purposely making this overly simple. Okay? We don't want it overly simple. We want it to a point where we know we can draw these shapes, and that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be drawing some of these shapes. So somewhere in between where you can draw those shapes. They're not too complicated, but then they're not too simple where they've basically created an abstract appearance. So that's too abstract. It's getting better. And what I recommend is maybe going 5-5-2, see if that works. That's what I'm using for Trump here. Maybe 6-5-2, 6-4-2. I like 6-4-2, so I'm going to click OK. 6 for the levels, 4 for simplicity, 2 for fidelity, and click OK. Okay, from there, you're going to go ahead and save for web. And then you're going to click Save, and you're going to just save this to your, let's see, let me try, make sure you save it as a JPEG. Save for web. Save it a JPEG, and then we already have the name, Portrait for Art, and I'm just save this to my desktop. Okay, once you've done this, you're going to go ahead and get a large sheet of paper, and you're going to make a grid. The sheet of paper is 12 by 18. We've had this same size sheet before. These are 1 inch squares. You're going to make yours 3 inch squares. Okay. You've gotten to the end of this first part. The second part will show you how to color your portrait. Okay. Hope that helps.